Did you know that more than 36 million small businesses in the United States, making up 99.9% of all US businesses, are small businesses? That means there are millions of founders carrying very big dreams, big pressure, and way too many operational gaps they were never meant to solve alone. Welcome to the Wickedly Branded podcast. I'm your host, Beverly Cornell, and the founder here at Wickedly Branded. And today I am joined by Kati Peterman. She is the founder of Your FRX, where she offers fractional executives to fill the gaps inside growing companies across industries and sizes. Kati helps business owners fix the structure and the operations so the founder's original dream can actually happen. And I believe when you need the structure and the foundation, Kati, it's like when you have that, that's when you can scale. So her business began during a major pivot when the company she was leading had to shift quickly and her team told her, "We will go where you go." That moment became the foundation for Your FRX and revealed the kind of leader Kati is: steady and trusted and deeply committed to building happy and supportive teams. So today we're talking about fractional leadership, core values, operational structure, visibility, and what it takes to build a business where the dream can actually work for you. Kati, welcome to the Wickedly Branded podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am excited to dive in because I am a structure girl. I love systems and foundations and having the right people in the right seats and all the things. And it takes a bit to get there. And I know that it took you a bit to get here. So talk about what sparked your business, how that pivot happened, and how you came to Your FRX.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to hear that you enjoy and appreciate operations. Being a creative, that's not necessarily something that we see. A little bit of pulling teeth, so it makes me really happy to hear that someone in your field at a very high level, being a creative, appreciates that. Yeah, I'm super fortunate. What you mentioned is exactly how it went down. We had reached a point, one of the assets that I managed in private equity, they were just going to roll up with another sale and they were moving on and pivoting. So we were going to give all of our team their clients and say, hey guys, go ahead, take your clients, start your own journeys. We appreciate it. And my team, I love them. It makes me emotional every time, but they just said, well, Kati, why don't you do it? And I hadn't really thought about that because I am by heart a number two. I'm an operator. I'm not a dreamer or a visionary. I'm not pouring out all these new ideas all the time. And so I hadn't even really considered that. And I was looking and then another one chimed in and was like, yeah, like it's like nothing has to change. You've been running the company anyways. And I was like, oh, wow, I feel appreciated. I feel like, and so I just did it. I was like, these people trust me. I trust them. I have a really awesome team. It is the same system. And this is why everyone gets started, right? Is you get to do it the way that you want to do it for once.
Yeah. The way you want to do it. I think it's actually extraordinary because a lot of our entrepreneurs don't have the belief system in them to make that decision. And that's like a big leap, right? And so that kind of proof helped you realize I am an entrepreneur. I can do this that maybe you wouldn't have had alone. So I love that story that your team was pushed you over the edge of, okay, let's do this. Because it's not about fear in entrepreneurship. So
there is. And I think that it's one of those weird things, right? It's just another identity label and it's been tossed around, overused. It's a buzzword like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, right? And it's like to you or to someone else, like you have to figure out what that means. I think sometimes it gets a little hyped up and it's like, everyone could say they're an entrepreneur, but are you going to follow through on the idea? Are you going to execute? Are you going to get out there and make it happen?
Oh, that's so good. I have a couple clients that I work with and they're dreamers, right? They actually are a little bit of squirrel syndrome where they're like next shiny object, right? Entrepreneurs inherently like to build things. So it is hard to stay focused for sure and stay driven because you have to be self-driven. You have to be focused. You have to be accountable. You have to be all the people sometimes in the beginning for sure. And that's why I think so many businesses don't last past a couple of years or 5 years. We look at the statistics, right?
They're Gino Wickman and Vern Harnish, right? They're the
godfathers. We're POS people. Yep.
And so he coined it perfectly. You have visionaries and you have integrators, and that really allowed people to identify, right? And that's a huge step. It's a huge step in branding, right? What do we identify? When I say what swim lane can I be like, yes, that's me. And Gino did such a good job explaining it so people understood the role between visionary and integrator, right? A dreamer or operations and get it done, and why we have those mismatches on language. And he did such a good job with that. But yes, the new ideas, I think that really ego can get in the way sometimes, and that's really tough to deal with when we're dealing with owners. But really, when we're working with a lot of people, and we've worked with 3,200 teams the past 5 years, which is awesome, I see a lot of fear. And this is someone's vision and their dream and their baby. They're trying to do everything that they can to, on the flip side, keep themselves safe. And so that fear comes out in a crunchy, not always the best way, where it's like, fine, I'll do it myself. I got me this far. And I think it's a protection mechanism a little bit and a safety mechanism. And so when you meet people where they're at with that fear, and then you show them that you're supporting them, not trying to change the dream, it goes a lot further, and they're a little bit open-minded to operations versus, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, I do think that there's like, you guys have a bad rep. You guys need a marketing, you need a PR campaign around operations being a little bit sexier and more fun, right? Have systems to help me actually breathe in my business. Systems are space for you. And when you know it, when it's predictable and you know what's going to happen, and you can train easier, you can let go easier, you can delegate easier. When you have systems, like, it is literally a game changer for an entrepreneur. So systems. I'm a systems gal. I dig it. I love it. And you're right. Like, I think I kind of balance both, but I'm an organized person. I think because I have ADHD, it's like the way that I compensate for that being a little bit unpredictable. So I like the predictability of a system and an operation. It's incredibly powerful for scaling and also space in your business.
And everything that lives in your head, that pressure that builds up, like, oh, it's all on me. Like, I've done it this way. I know how to get it done, because you started this as an owner and an entrepreneur, and you do have a way of getting it done. But the system can help you from everything that lives in your head actually be on paper. So you get to let that go, and you get to stop being a dependency, for other people. And it really takes off that pressure. It takes off that like overload of a lot of things. Yeah. And that's where it like starts to create like a little bit of peace. So systems can actually bring some peace into the day to day, which people are like, you're creating chaos. You're over here. It's a new idea every 10 seconds. And you're like, why are you guys not excited? I back from a conference with a new idea. And they're like, oh no, she came back from a conference with a new idea. All those things that live in your head and create that pressure, people are like, oh no, if you put it on paper, it makes the world a better place.
It really does. And it creates space for other things to happen too, I believe. Once you get the things out of your head. So I have a similar way with our clients. We do like a 90-minute interview where we ask a mountain of questions. It's called the Brand Spark Experience. And in that, we talk about where they've been, where they are, where they're going, the challenges they've experienced, just getting the picture of them. And we ask some really deep questions too. But the idea is to get all that out of their head, everything that they've been doing, everything they've not written down, everything that they've been dreaming about. What if this could do, what would happen? And when you do that, when you are able to remove that from your head, it allows you to have space to think about implementation, or to think about another system, or how you can make something better, because now you have like a framework from which to like launch from. And when it's all just nebulous in there, like, it's overwhelming. 3 a.m. wake ups is a real thing when you have it all just in your head. And it's like coming apart. Oh, here. It was like, annoying. So annoying. Sorry. I have it off on my phone, but somehow it came through here. So I apologize. Okay, so let me ask you the question again, and then you can answer it. So this idea of the way you started your business was like through this combination of pressure and pivoting and loyalty. And I think that those experiences of how we kind of like making a diamond, the pressure of all that creates how we kind of show up as leaders in our businesses. And when you start a business, you have like this vision and your EOS, so core values are going to be really important to you. How did that process help you really develop your core values and your vision for the company?
Yeah, I think that, great. And just to stay on core values, because not a core value, it's something that you're passionate about, Um, And so our core values, because that's what we have taught and that's what our team teaches and we talk about it, we've had time to develop like each person on the team, Jim, Angie, Katie, Kevin, like I know what their core values are. They know what mine are. And just because we have the company core values doesn't mean that we don't have our own. We all have they all have our own and we have them deeply. Um, and that really made the decision so easy. And this is why core values are so important. Because if you don't have the right people on your team supporting your dream with the mission, and if your core values are not aligned, when you're presented an opportunity the way that I was, it wasn't on a silver platter, right? But life gave it to me on a silver platter. Not the way that I would have wanted, not something I would have chose for myself, but my team gave it to me. And if I wasn't clear on my core values in that decision, and if they weren't clear on theirs, because it was just a no-brainer. I said yes, and I knew it was going to be hard and scary. And the pressure was I love these people so much that I want to provide for them. Make sure if I say yes and I do this, that I also provide for them. And because I know what commitments and what loyalty they're giving me by doing this and following me and supporting me and launching this together. But because we had our core values aligned, it was such an easy yes. It was just such an easy yes. I was like, okay, let's do it. I know exactly who I'm working with. And that is such a good feeling to be like, I know what I'm working with, I know what's going on. And when a company or when a brand has their core values and they're dialed in and you say, tell me a little bit about your core values, and you see them talk about it and they're excited and it means something to them, that's a clear yes. Or sometimes you're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. I haven't considered that. But core values are so important. I could talk about that all day long.
It's a great topic of conversation because I have to limit sometimes my clients and their core values because they come to me with 10 in it. Our core values, I'm curious because you hear them all the time. And I really pushed my team. We co-developed this, our core values. But I really pushed my team about this. I said, I don't want to be integrity. Those are overused and they're empty and that they're not us and they're not wickedly branded at all. So let's look at like the things. And I actually said to them, what do I harp on you about? What matters to me? What am I OCD about? What am I always like coming to you for? What am I always like saying that this is important? What am I always backing back up again? Did we do this thing? And so they kind of came to me with how I come to them and said, this is what I think they should be. And from there, we have 3 core values. Honor, which is it's more than just integrity. My husband's in the military. And if you think of honor as a military service person and how you show up, and how you dress and how you present yourself and how you are accountable, you do the right thing, you have your buddies back, it's much more than just integrity. It's all of those things. It's an old-fashioned term, but I still think is very relevant today. So honor your commitments, honor yourself, honor each other, honor the client. There's all of those things in there. It changes every day. The algorithms change every day. The tools change every day. AI changes every day. And so I agree with you. And you need to do that. So what are your core values? Like how did you come up with those?
Yeah, I think that it's really the time of self-reflection, and I think you really have to be intentional with them, which obviously you are. And just like you went through that, you have to be able to explain what it means to you. Mine is purpose, integrity, and results. So you have to remember, we're inside of someone's company, right? And that's typically what people seek me after. I want them to know who I am, but I also want them to understand what it's going to be like inside of their company. And when teams and people understand, like, hey, I'm not coming in to give you 30 extra hours of work a week. I'm here to micromanage you and do this. I'm coming in with purpose. And everything that I give you, I'm going to explain what that purpose is. I have a purpose in doing this. And because I'm clear on the purpose, I'm respectful of your time. And I also want someone to know what the purpose is because I want them to be respectful of my time, right? That's really important to me is, hey, I'm not coming in here and I'm not working with teams that are not open-minded because guess what? I'm not a dentist. I'm not trying to pull teeth all day. I have no desire about what happened when you were 5, which means you have a bad attitude and you don't want help, right? And so purpose is like, hey, we're on the same page. There's a reason to do this, right? There's a purpose for you. There's a purpose for me. It's intentionality. It's very clear. And it kind of breaks down that wall. And then integrity is they have to trust us and the entire team that we are going to do the right thing for their business, right? Not for us, not for results, not for a 5-star review, not for any of that. We're actually going to do the right thing for their company. And it's a huge trust wave, right? Bringing on an executive that you haven't worked with the past 3, 5, 8 years, you don't have previous camaraderie with from another company. You're bringing in someone and you're trusting them, right? This position as a COO or a high level executive coming into someone's company, we got to get things going. There's got to be some trust going in there, and we've got to get results in there. We've got to get it going. Yeah. Integrity, that is a huge one, knowing that we're going to do the right thing for their company. Even if they don't like to hear it, we tell them that is, hey, sometimes integrity means that we're going to tell you, believe it's the right thing and you might not like it. And then that's your choice. But we told you so. And then if we decide, hey, it's not a good fit because we don't see the ability to move forward, then we also let them know. Us is results. We will agree and we make 30 commitments on what those results need to look like. And then that way we're constantly on the same page, we're on the same track, right? We're going down the same direction. Everyone knows what the expectation is. There's no gray area for assumptions, which you can have two really amazing people who have really amazing different backgrounds and they're giving all and they're playing super hard. But if they don't communicate what the result and the outcome needs to be, they could go completely different directions. And now both amazing people are really unhappy, all because we didn't have a conversation about it. So we start beginning of the month with talking about what the result is for the next 30 days, the desired outcome, and then we stick to that. So that
I love that. I love that. The trusting thing is huge. And I think like for myself and even for most of the founders that I work with, Katie, I feel like trust is huge. We oftentimes ask our clients, we say it to them. We say, you have to trust us like we're a pilot on a plane. We have to have a general direction we're going to go. We know where we want to land the plane, right? We've all agreed on that. And I need you to like trust me to drive the plane because I've been doing it for 30 years and that you can sit there. And if I need something from you, you're going to give it to me and we agree on that together. So that give and take. But you're right. People have been doing it all on their own. And to give that trust to anybody is really hard.
Yep.
And people have been burned too, right? So we have to undo some of that in the process. But I think if you're upfront with people about how your process works and you're upfront about the results that we both have agreed upon, it does assuage some of the fear. But anytime you level up, anytime you're going to do the hard things, the brave steps, the things that are going to push you forward, fear, doubt, perfectionism, imposter syndrome are all going to like show up, and it's information that you are leveling up. Like this is happening. So it's all natural and very normal to have those fears because it matters to you. It matters to you. So
yeah. And you know what really helps with all of those, because I see entrepreneurs and owners go through it all the time with imposter syndrome and fear. And when you're starting to have that spiral, I know it's not their favorite, but what really minimizes that and helps it go away is data. Just do a little data check to see if it's even a possibility or a reality.
Mhm.
If not, let it go. You don't deserve to sit there. Like, get some data. Take the emotion out of it. You don't have to sit in fear. You don't have to have imposter syndrome. Comparison is the devil, right? Just get the data, get the numbers, and go from there. And then make a plan with the data.
So you use data. I actually, in my book, I talk about that. I'm releasing at the end of summer or like early fall. I call them glimmers. I call it evidence, right?
Yeah.
So you can be numbers for sure. It can be marketing research. It could be target audience information, like your ICP is your ideal client profile, if that's even a valid or viable place for you. But it also can be people you've helped and the stories that they have. And so testimonials can be glimmers. There's evidence of your magic. And if you don't lean into the evidence, you can spiral really fast. So I say you have to keep a jar of your glimmers, whether it's a folder on your computer, or maybe it's a bunch of pictures of testimonials or something that somebody sent to you to remind you of your magic. And that can help you really refocus your why and focus your purpose and give you kind of get around the fear sometimes. Like this is bigger than my fear. And I don't want to get in my own way of doing this really amazing thing for other people. And like that, yes, this is viable in whatever way you're going with it. So I love
And that's
that.
huge. It's a huge culture piece that I think a lot of companies just kind of like they get in the day to day, they get on the hamster wheel and they keep going. But those glimmers, those wins, the success story, the like what's happening from the employee perspective,
Yes.
like you need to have that in your weekly team meetings. Like just as much as your team needs the glimmers and the wins and evidence, like everybody needs it in their day to like really start off strong. And so I think like culturally wise, it makes such a huge difference when you're looking at the testimonials like, hey guys, we just had a new 5-star review come in with the whole company,
Yeah.
like let
Yes.
everyone know that you guys just got another 5-star review, even if it was like, we had a good time, great. They had a good time. Amp it up.
It's powerful. And I think it also recenters your purpose, right? When you hear the testimonials, when you see the 5 stars, what we're doing is working and it's actually making a difference. And it's just confirmation and affirmation of the work we do every day. We spend a lot of time at work doing these things, Katie. And if it's not like acknowledged anyway, either by your superiors or by the clients, like I have testimonials woven into my process. Like it's actually part of the service that we give. They don't even know they're giving a testimonial when we get a testimonial and we ask for the testimonial and we say, can we use this as a testimonial later? Like we really like integrated into the process. So it's very natural. It doesn't feel forced and doesn't feel fake and doesn't feel any of those things.
Stage in a really large platform for some really big brands, everyone and their cousin was throwing the kitchen sink at me for collaborations. And it's like, what are you gonna offer? Like, what does that do for us? I get what this does for you. Of course you want the stage. So does everyone. And sometimes I wanted to be like, hey, get in line, you know, this person over here too. And people just didn't come in collaboration. I think one of the easiest ways to come in for collaboration that a lot of people miss is fulfillment, right? What is something that you can fulfill to their audience, their message, their brand, whatever it may be? What's something that you can fulfill and take fulfillment off of their plate and do for them with this collaboration? What are they trying to accomplish? Like, I purposely went and did personal research, not just what's out there for you for this. And I also today, even though you're giving me this amazing platform to talk on with an amazing audience that you've curated and crafted with exactly who I want to talk to, which is like a bunch of badass women, right? I also need to be able to give. And so what did I ask you about today? I asked you about your book. And then now we're naturally we're talking about your book. And this is your baby and this is your podcast. And even though you're giving an amazing opportunity to talk about myself, it has to be reciprocal and we have to collab. And I have to be just as interested in you and the things that are going on in your baby and your business. So you feel like, wow, she gets it. She understands what I'm working on. She understands who my audience is and where I'm going. But a lot of people will just come in one-sided and it absolutely kills collaboration. Even if you're coming in with like passion and excitement and you're like, I can't wait to get my message out to the world. That's sick. What does the other person want? What's going on in their life right now? What are they trying to accomplish in their business that you're asking for space in, right? So collaboration is very important. And I wish people were just a little bit more thoughtful and a little bit more considerate of how do I make this a win-win? And if you're not sure, ask.
How can I help you? What can I do to help you grow or support you in this? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't know what to ask for because no one's asked them for that. I think that even with the branding we do and some of the marketing messaging we do, it's very clear. When you're clear about who you serve, when you're clear about the transformation you offer, when you're clear about what that next step looks like, it's easier to make those asks because you know this is what's going to help you. So that gives you confidence. It gives you confidence in spaces you wouldn't normally have confidence to make the ask. And the worst thing they can do is say no. And I remember my mom, she told me like a long time ago, and I'm an only child, so I like to get my way. I didn't always get my way, but I like to get my way. And I remember mom saying to me, you can always ask. You have nothing right now. And if you ask, you might have something.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose anything if you ask. You might be sad because you didn't get it, but you didn't lose anything. So to ask is really, I'm just going to I'm not necessarily a Facebook ads fan or a Google ads fan. There's certain businesses I can work for, but for most of my small business owners that I work with, I'm like, you don't need to do that. You can send somebody flowers. We all work with women. Women love flowers. Wouldn't you love to get flowers from somebody, Katie?
Oh, some of the best gifts are, yes, just flowers, random things, candles. Yes, absolutely. Please don't send me another stress ball. And I do not want a pair of socks. I'm not gonna hang. I always find it so strange when like someone, and I appreciate it, like because maybe it's really important to them. But when some like third party vendor sends me like a family photo, you like just like whatever it is, I'm like, that's strange. Like you're not going on my fridge, so where do you think this is going? We're not there yet, Paul. Like it's just, and it's like, look, that took a lot of money, time, and effort, and you have your kids' faces on this thing.
Yes. Yes.
Just send me a candle instead. Like, send me a candle, like stop with all the stress balls. And the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, hold on. What's the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Right. And then exiting. Yes, you're going to exit eventually. So what does that look like? But if you're not trying to like exit and sell something and get this massive exit, you don't need to go there. Then we look at the 5 pillars. So marketing, sales, finance, leadership, and operations. We group marketing, sales together because it's so important. And again, I'm not doing, and our team is not doing what your team does and what you do at a very high level. We're just coming in as an executive and we're providing strategy. So we're plugging someone in. When we've identified the gap of like what they're doing, we will plug someone like you into the picture and say, hey, this is what you actually need. Because so people are one of the gaps, they're not aware of what phase of business they're in, right? They don't even know. And like, hey, startup is like not a thing like, oh, we're a startup and we're this and we're that. A startup is a predetermined amount of time and a predetermined amount of money. That's all it is. You make a commitment, you have a round of funding, or you fund it till it gets to a certain point. And if it doesn't hit those, and if it doesn't become operational and a proven product or service or whatever it is, it's time to pull the plug. Like you cannot stay in startup for forever. You can't. And people just stay there and they stay in this like grind in the hustle culture. And it's like, you really can only do that for so long. So one of the gaps, they're not even aware of what phase of business they're in. They have no idea, no plan of when they're going to get out of that phase. The second one is they're not consistently assessing those pillars. And when we're not assessing those pillars, and again, let's say best case scenario, right? You have the perfect rock stars in each department, in customer service, in finance, in marketing, in sales. You just have the absolute best people and the world goes dream team. But if you are all not rowing in the same direction, these 5 amazing people are just going to have different plans. And you're going to be like, what did we accomplish this year? We spent so much money. Why are you working on a new software platform? And why are you developing a new product that doesn't align with this software platform? And why did we just invest in XYZ ads that doesn't match up with this software platform or this new product? And everybody's trying to launch these big ideas. Like you've got to come in, right, as the owner, and like it is your vision. They're not making a new vision. They're not coming up with new ideas on new massive grandiose ideas. Now they are adding to it, absolutely. There's collaboration, there's input, there's experience, but they're not casting the vision of the entire company. Like you've got to own that and anchor it down, And a lot of people are just kind of like, they're like, well, I have the rock star, so go ahead, go at it, go do your thing. And it's like, no. You're now putting the whole direction of the company in someone else's hand, and you're just gonna like sit and chill and then you're gonna explode. No,
expectations are huge. You need to have clear expectations. Yeah.
So assessing those, and then what we do to help with the clear expectations is we assign KPIs, right? 5 to 7 KPIs for each department. They all have to be contributing to the same thing. One thing that makes us very different versus like the traditional EOS model, the traditional EOS model, like, yes, you'll get data, you'll get those things kind of in place, but they can be a little, again, going in different lanes. We focus and we go through this process to determine the one KPI that the entire company needs to work around, right? So we call it the brick, but it's one KPI that everyone's KPIs need to tie into. So everyone has a very clear expectation for the outcome that's not just revenue. We don't just take revenue and work backwards from there and say, okay, think of some ideas that are going to contribute to revenue. But so first thing was identifying the gap of what phase of business they're in and continuously doing that. Assessing the gaps of the 5 pillars: marketing, sales, finance, leadership, and operations. And then the last one is just communication. So this goes into a lot, whether it's the company org chart or whether it's meeting structures. A lot of communication is just so messy. And people think, well, because I communicate this way, I'll just communicate to everyone this way. Or because I needed it this time, then everyone has to conform to that time. So we come in and we customize meeting structures and communication styles. And then we review that like with the org chart of hey, this is how it's going to work together. But, communication is a huge gap. The 5 pillars is a huge gap. And the 5 phases is, it always blows my mind that people don't know what phase they're in.
It's interesting because we're a brand. I'm a brand evolution strategist. So you have to understand where you are in your evolution as a business owner to understand where you're evolving to. So I say they're either like freelancer, they're builder, their authority, or their legacy.
For owners that are, I have heard this time and time again, right? They're like, payroll keeps me up at night. Or they're like, I don't know, I hired all these people and I don't even know what they do all day. I hear that so often. Like, I don't know what they do all day. And look, maybe for your audience, maybe you have 2 or 3 people and maybe
or even one, a VA, just one VA. Yeah.
And or maybe you have 5, maybe you have 10, maybe you have 15, maybe you have 30, right? But if you're responsible for payroll and you have that feeling of, I don't even know what they do all day, if you had KPIs, you would know what they do all day. And it wouldn't matter how they got it done or how long it took. It's, did they get it done or not?
Yep.
On track or you off track? So
exactly.
Those, again, a lot of those fears, a lot of those things that are keeping people up and making them, oh, I don't know where this is going. I don't know if we're getting the results, or I don't know if we're going to hit our goals or not for the quarter. And it's like, well, you could know. If you want, if you wanted to, you could know. So do you want to know how to do it? Can we put some KPIs in place? Now are you listening? Now are you with me? So yeah, it can really be that easy.
Yes, it really does. It's amazing. So let me ask this question. I always ask this to everybody who comes on the show. I'm going to talk about marketing a little bit. What has been the biggest, like, how have you developed your brand, and what's been one of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now?
Yeah, I think just full transparency on that, right? Because everyone's going to go through these struggles. There's a lot of different directions that we can go right now, and I feel overwhelmed with choices, right? I know the paid ad strategy that we could do in the direction that we go. It's obviously for high ticket and for a reoccurring high ticket. The cost is very high. It's very competitive. There's a lot out there. You have a lot of people in the operation space, right? There's a lot of, you could come from a mindset of competitiveness. I try and always choose to stay in a mindset of abundance. And so, look, we don't need everybody. There's always enough out there for everyone. Who do we need? Who do we want? I now get to be specific and choosy, which is great. But we could go the paid ad strategy. There's a bunch of new platforms out there. AI is changing every day. Some clients really like it, some don't. We're just overwhelmed with choices right now. Like, we have some people that are like, hey, we want to take you on a platform and we want you to have an online course and we want you to do this, and you should have a free community, and just, kind of what you said, all these different options for lead gen. That's what it is. It's lead gen. I really like partnerships and where we're like part of someone's fulfillment. Speaking opportunities for me are always the best, and it makes the most sense on conversion, which is great. And then referrals. We have a really amazing referral program because I want to be the top of everyone's mind. And for the referrals, it's safer, right? Because I am only dishing out once we actually have the customer, which, like Facebook, Meta, all of that, it's just such a crapshoot. Like, you can spend amount and have no idea if you're going to get the client or not. And then really, I'm in just this like unique evaluation of what is the purpose. And I've been getting on all these like AI calls and these platforms and all this other stuff. And you have to really think of like where someone is. If you have a product or service, when I talked about those 5 phases and where someone wants to go, like listening to you, and you just said it too, so someone could really identify their service with you is, okay, she's not looking for some massive exit. I get on with these AI companies and they're like, well, we could scale you up to this, and this. And what if you had 240 clients? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And they're like, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, I just want to make money with my friends and have fun.
Absolutely. What is enough? I guess that's the thing you have to determine. What is enough?
And just like you went on your vacation, I went to Greece for 2 weeks, in the middle of our launch, right? Like in the middle of our launch. And I went to Greece for 2 weeks and I had a great time and I wasn't worried about a damn thing. I wasn't worried about it.
That's freedom. That's the level you want to get at. Because if you have 240 whatevers, what does
No,
that mean for you?
it doesn't.
Right? Doesn't even sound right. I totally agree with you.
No.
And the numbers we have were really simple too. Like, that's gonna help you grow. And when you are top of mind because you sent them a sparkly envelope or whatever that is for your brand, when you're top of mind, that changes everything. Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't tell you to go do that. I wouldn't tell you to compete. I would say, even like, if you want to work with badass women, that needs to be on your website.
Yeah.
Like, don't hide that. Like, really. And maybe you want badass women who aren't afraid of AI. Like AI and somebody don't like AI. So if that's something you use in your service and you know it can help with them, then they have to be open to that. Then you might want like badass women who want to harness AI in their operations, and like that language needs to be part of it. On the podcast, who I want to be in partnership with, collaboration with, who I want to work with in some way, shape, or form, because I'm going to spend an hour with you and I'm going to get to know you. And then I have a relationship with you, and now I can support you on LinkedIn, and who knows where the relationship will go. But I'm intentional about the people I spend time with. I'm intentional about this podcast for that particular reason. There's a bunch of really amazing women doing some really cool things. How can I elevate them? And then how can they be in my circle?
Yeah.
So it may even be like a podcast, Katie, where you invite the people who are your very leads to come on your show, and you have this amazing conversation about some aspect of our operations or something. And then you develop the relationship, and that rich relationship grows through connections and whatever, and how you develop call, where we just connect, like, and give like I went to Greece. If you need tips on how, and I just came back from the UK. If you want a tip on what to do in London, I'm going to be able to help you out. Here's the best places I ate. I wouldn't give those kinds of tips, not like, oh, let me tell you about this marketing thing. Like, no. I went like to like connect with really amazing women. I happen to know somebody who runs a safari in Tanzania. If you're looking to go to Tanzania, I can hook you up with Scott. He's got this amazing program. Like, that's the kind of relationships I want to build, where we connect as humans. So it can evolve even further as it develops and grows and gets some sophistication to the relationships. But that's really like, you have to like build a base and then grow from there. But there's so many opportunities for you, Katie, that I would hate for you to put that money into an ad. I'm not saying don't do it, but I've seen so many people do it, and they literally, like, it was thousands of dollars that just was out. So I'd love to talk to you about that further if that's something you want to explore, for sure, because there's so many things you could do that would be way more fun for you and your team and all the things. So don't do. So the last question I ask everybody, Katie, is the question of, what does it mean to you to be wickedly branded? And how do you think you show up, or your team shows up as that? And is there a tip or a piece of advice that you've learned along the way about showing up more wickedly branded?
Yeah, I think it really ties into everything that we've talked about. You have said it, and I just think it's so important of being clear is being kind, right? Like, being clear is being kind is a message. It's a keynote that I deliver to a lot of companies. I tailor it to them. But I think like being wickedly branded is being extremely clear, right? And being exactly who you are and being authentic. And I think that you have to do the process of self-discovery. You can't just keep going and going and going and going. You have to take those moments for self-discovery, so that way you can be authentic and you can be wickedly branded.
I love that. It's so good. Self-discovery can be really hard though, because you have to make space and time. And sometimes you're so close to the trees, the forest, that you can't even see the tree, right? So it's hard sometimes for the self-discovery. And you're so busy doing that you're not being.
Yeah.
And that can be really hard. And the busyness is loud. Like we live in a very noisy society. Instagram is telling you this, and this is telling you this. Like everybody's telling TikTok is saying you need this creatine, supplement or whatever. So it gets a little bit challenging when
You'd like to connect, what you would like to connect on. Sure, you can always go to our website if you just want to talk to someone on the team. They absolutely can get you started. There's a whole connect now section, of course. But really connect with us on LinkedIn. We have a free biweekly community call that people are allowed to join for business owners. And I teach. That's it. I teach operations and all the things, and people come with problems and Q&A, and we love it, and we have fun, and we're vulnerable, and we share what's working and what's not.
I love that. I love the free community. Get to know Kati, get to know her team, get to know how they work. So that builds the trust that you have. Maybe there's more to do with that, Kati. Okay. So that's great. I'm so glad that you came on the show, Kati. It's been a really lovely conversation. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been so fun, and I'm glad that we geek out on some similar things, but you also are wickedly branded and just uniquely you, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that too. This has been a fun conversation. For those of you who are maybe scared of operations, or maybe you like geeked out like me and Kati, that we know the systems are powerful, and that this can maybe light a little fire under you, maybe give you some new ideas, and maybe inspire you to take some brave step or some small action today to get clear. Maybe create a KPI, maybe create a process or a system. But here's the thing that matters the most in any of this is that your work matters, your message matters, and the world needs to hear what you have to say. So marketing isn't just about visibility, it's about the impact you make. And it's the impact you can make on your team, the impact you can make with your clients, and systems and operations and all those things can help magnify the impact that you're making. So I want you to think about how you can connect all those things together and can grow in a way that feels like enough for you. So keep showing up, keep sharing your brilliance, keep getting clearer, and keep making magic in the world. And if you ever feel stuck, Kati and I are here. We would love to help you. You don't have to do it alone, despite how lonely entrepreneurship can be. You don't have to do it alone. We're here to help you turn your spark into a wildfire. And until next time, I want you to dare to be wickedly branded.